I'm sure you saw this coming when I did the first Star Trek X-Men special. That I mentioned there were two of them, and there's a second X-Men special. Yes, and this one stars the Next Generation. So pretty cool. They did one for the original series, and then the Next Generation comes and meets them, and they actually tie it in with a loose continuity between the two comics. Dan Abnett and Ed Nickton. Jeez, I can talk pretty one day, as some people say. I think his first name's Ian, if I recall correctly. Did I? Am I right? It's his longtime collaborator. I don't see his full name in there, but there it is. They wrote this together. Carrie Nord did the art on this, and Carrie Nord did a wonderful, wonderful Conan the Barbarian run for Dark Horse. Some interesting color choices from the late 90s. This is kind of how they did things to try to look a little more realistic at that point. But basically, the Enterprise E is caught in the time stream, and it takes place right after First Contact as they're traveling back through the wormhole. And they get stuck in this past time. So here, of course, they meet up with the X-Men, and Data has a nice fight with Wolverine. And they learn about each other and the future going on. Now, Kang shows up and says there's all these time portals screwed up and all that stuff that he needs them to go fix. And so they split up into a couple different teams, and it ties in a little bit to Days of Future Past timelines and also to some of the Next Generation timeline stuff. As you see, there's more Borg fights here as the Borg Queen gets involved too. But it turns out these temporal rifts are being used by Kang. We knew it wasn't going to be that simple. And so eventually Kang is trying to open and collapse all these timelines so that he can kind of gain control over everything, is how this ends up going. And so they stop, and of course they get together and fight Kang together, close up the portal. Now, unlike the first volume where they get back to the present, they don't actually get back to the present for the Next Generation in this one. They are still there, and it says to be continued in the Star Trek The Next Generation X-Men novel Planet X. So this actually then continues, they have a crossover in a novel where they're already in this Marvel timeline. Now, it's 64 pages. Carrie Nord's not at his peak art at this point. He's good, but there's points where it does look a little wonky. He gets way better later as an artist. Some of the colors kind of muddy things too, just because of this time period, which causes problems. But I do love the kind of Abnett sort of writing style, and I thought they did a really good job. Now, Abnett and Eddington, as I believe, were writing a Star Trek series together, which was covering the Captain Pike era of Star Trek called Early Voyages, and that was an excellent, excellent series too. So really well done. People understood Star Trek and the X-Men, and enjoyable stuff. I call this an 8 out of 10 comic book. It is out of print, and they cannot print these because, of course, licensing issues. And so this does not get collected anywhere, just like the other Star Trek X-Men crossover. So you might want to find a copy of this before they get really rare. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.